All right, once again, thanks for joining us here this evening. A lot to talk about, so we'll get right to it live on Facebook. And make sure you try to share this so we can get the information out as far-reaching as we possibly can. But let's get you caught up on what's happening. You may or may not know we are under a winter storm warning. All of those counties shaded in pink, as you can certainly see. The area to the west, that's a winter weather advisory, and portions of our area, including Georgetown and Williamsburg County, under a winter storm watch. So what does all of that mean? Well, here's the criteria that we look for when you're talking about a winter storm warning. You're looking for a total of 2 inches of snow and sleet accumulation, or you could also have 1/4 of an inch ice accumulation or more. So that's the criteria, and that is exactly what we're looking for as we get into late tomorrow and early on Wednesday. Here's our satellite perspective as we kind of get you caught up on what's happening right now. Not much is going on except for the fact it is cold. If you've been out and about and you know that. Again, we had plenty of sunshine today. Temperatures did get to the mid-40s, which is still well below average, but we are showing clear skies. But as we back out a little bit on Storm Team 2 Live Viper, this is one of those situations where you can clearly see that storm is taking shape. We've got snowflakes flying across eastern Texas, eastern and southern Oklahoma, all the way now into portions of Arkansas and Louisiana. Low pressure is going to kick out of the southwest, move into the Gulf of Mexico, and then this storm is going to pick up some more fuel, some more moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. And we know it's going to be cold when that moisture arrives here during the day tomorrow, and especially into tomorrow night and early on Wednesday. Right now, temperatures are hovering around freezing or below freezing for just about everybody. Kingstree at 28. 32 in Moncks Corner, 34 Johns Island, Folly Beach checking in at 36. And as we take you hour by hour for tonight and into tomorrow morning, what you notice is pretty consistent. We're staying in the 20s. That's only part of the story. I'll explain why in a moment. But by 6 a.m. 25, by 7 a.m. 24. So if the kids are waiting at the bus stop tomorrow, make sure they're bundled up. I know a lot of schools have early release tomorrow because of the weather conditions. But these are the low temperatures we're expecting by morning time. I've got some upper teens in Kingstree at 19, waking up to 22 in Somerville, 28 Folly Beach, and 31 Edisto Beach. Now, I mentioned the other half of the story, and that is the fact we're going to deal with very low wind chills. Take a look at our wind gust forecast starting this at 5 a.m. You're talking about mid to upper teens. That's a gusty wind that's going to be blowing across our area. So you take that wind and you put it to the temperature, and this is what our forecast wind chill is. We'll take you through the night. I'll stop it at midnight. So we're talking wind chills even at midnight here in just a little while in the upper teens to low 20s. Now let's move it forward on into, let's say, the 7 o'clock hour. A lot of you tomorrow morning will see those wind chills in the teens. 17 in Somerville, feels like 23 Edisto Beach, 17 in Georgetown, and Walterboro 17. You might say, why do you have the wind chill? It's cold enough. Well, basically wind can take the heat from the body away from you, and that makes it even colder. So that's what the gusty winds do, especially when you're talking about cold temperatures like this. Now we move it forward, and even into tomorrow afternoon, this is lunchtime, still feels like the low 30s, feels like freezing or so. Then we move it forward into tomorrow afternoon. Those wind chills back down again into the low 20s for many of us, and this is 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so you can only imagine what we can expect later on. A lot of teens by tomorrow night, so it is going to be bitterly cold. Now we look at those forecast snow totals and some adjustments now. This is our in-house exclusive high-resolution model. Basically, it's called ViperCast. 7 o'clock in the morning, I don't see anything showing up. But watch what happens as we go through the day. You're going to start to see snow appear as we get into late afternoon, early evening. So snowflakes will start to fly based on this high-resolution model. The one change that I've made now, and our model has changed, is we've kind of upped the totals a little bit, especially away from the coast. And again, this is subject to change, but basically, we're going to stick with 1 to 3 and probably in some cases maybe up to 4 inches of snowfall through midnight, and then that takes us all the way into tomorrow morning. So or Wednesday morning, that is. I do believe that a lot of this will fall before the sun comes up on Wednesday morning. So a lot of you will wake up to some snow on the ground. So that's our forecast snow totals coming up just a little bit. A lot of the models kind of following suit. So what to expect? Well, we have a winter storm warning beginning on Tuesday evening, continuing into Wednesday morning. Precipitation could begin by mid-afternoon tomorrow. Most of the sleet and snow happening after 7 o'clock in the evening, and very low wind chills overnight. We talked about what can happen overnight tonight and also what potentially could happen in the morning time on Wednesday. So we've kind of moved our way through this winter forecast timeline. You may have seen us show this graphic from time to time. So we've kind of worked our way from 6 to 8 days out, so about a week out. We were paying attention, watching the patterns for a potential system, looking for consistency when we get 4 to 5 days out. Obviously, we were talking a lot about that was some of our low confidence. We were waiting for the consistency of the models. Does the setup make sense? Could this possibly happen? And now, obviously, we know it will. We prepare a forecast some 2 to 3 days out, looking at the general idea of precipitation type, timing, location, and totals. And now it's crunch time, and now we're just a day away, roughly about a day away from the actual event. So now we're identifying specifics, as we just showed you, what we feel like the snowfall totals will be, exact timing, location, and overall threat impact. So now, as we mentioned, we're kind of in the bottom of the ninth as it's so close to this event. So here was the weather setup today. We know low pressure coming into the western Gulf of Mexico. We're starting to see that snow fall across Texas into Louisiana and Arkansas. That was what happened today. Now for tomorrow morning, we see that low in the Gulf move a little bit farther to the east. So now you're extending that snow area a little farther east into southern Mississippi and southwestern Alabama, even the panhandle of Florida. This could be I don't know about record snowfall, but certainly something they don't see very often in the lower Gulf Coast when you're talking about lower Alabama into the panhandle of Florida. Then we get up into afternoon and evening on Tuesday. Now you see that snow area and the white drifts a little bit farther to the east. We've got that ice, sleet and ice that extends across the Gulf coastal states, over Florida, and into parts of Georgia and South Carolina. So that appears to be the way it's going to set up as we get into tomorrow. This was never in question. We knew that it was going to be cold. That upper air pattern kept really locked in place, that cold air. So we're going to move it through tomorrow into Wednesday. You see still there's a big giant dip in the jet stream. Somebody left the freezer door open and hasn't shut it, and it continues to move on in. So we've got that cold air in place. Now we're looking for the moisture, and our moisture map is indicating some of that moisture bleeding northbound into 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. But more of that moisture is going to make its way northbound as we get into the afternoon and evening on Tuesday morning, or Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday morning. So you can see how close it is, and that's why we feel like those snowfall totals will be just a little bit higher. Then we're keeping our fingers crossed. What we don't want to happen, what you see on Thursday morning, is maybe a rebound of some of that moisture right along the coast. We know it's going to be very cold. We don't need another wintry situation. But right now, most of the deeper moisture should stay offshore, and that is some good news. So here's a look at our ViperCast model, kind of a close-up, if you will, more of the timing aspect as we get into the overnight. Now, there's one thing, and you did notice some little areas of snow and rain that moved across early in the morning. I haven't really bought into that just yet. I'll have to wait and see the trends, but I really feel pretty confident most of this is going to happen later in the day. So noontime, we should be okay. That's why, obviously, the kids are getting out early. I think we're okay up until about noontime, but then we get late afternoon, early evening. Now this is a 5 o'clock picture on ViperCast. We've got a mixture of some snow and some ice moving across the region. Then most of that ice, by the time we get to 8 o'clock, is up right along the coast. We're going to transition, we do believe, to just about all snow, if not all snow, overnight, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. You'll see that more of the blue by 3 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. Still some snowflakes will be flying, and I would say probably by 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, that should be offshore. You notice the winds are coming in from the north. That's going to keep that cold air really settled in and locked in, and we're going to keep that cold weather going all the way through the day on Wednesday. Our big concern also is for those areas that do get precipitation, that we probably will bump up a little bit above freezing as we move on into Wednesday afternoon. That's going to cause some melting. They could eventually refreeze again Wednesday night and Thursday morning. So we're probably going to have to revisit this when we see the trends there as we move on into Wednesday night and especially early on Thursday morning. Now, a lot of you asking about precipitation types, and this is how they form. So first one is rain. We know what rain's all about. Basically, you may not realize this, but many times it snows over Charleston in the summertime because the clouds are so high. But keep in mind, once it gets closer to the ground, moves into a warm air layer, and it melts, and all we see is rain. Freezing rain, that's the one we don't like because basically that's cold air at the above where the clouds are. There's a warm layer almost all the way down to the surface, so it melts, and then freezing layer just about above the surface, and on the surface it freezes on impact. That causes the glaze, and that causes a lot of the significant travel issues. Sleet, we could also see some of that as well, especially along the coast. Coming out cold as snow. Then there's a warm layer just above the surface, a little bit higher than freezing rain. So basically it melts it, but there's enough of a cold layer near the surface where it freezes again into ice pellets. Typically sleet will bounce. What we like to see, a lot of you will, and certainly would enjoy this, is snow, and that's the layer of air is cold all the way from the cloud all the way to the ground. So basically it comes down all as snow, and we're going to see some of that as well. So again, our forecast totals, in case you missed it just a few minutes ago, as we move on into your Tuesday afternoon, we bumped it up just a little bit for areas inland, 2 to 4 inches, potentially Walterboro, St. George, Somerville, Goose Creek. Generally, though, we're probably looking at about 1 to 3 inches with higher amounts for most of us. We have to give kind of a general look at it, and I think that probably is a good barometer, if you will. Also, forecast sleet. We've got to deal with that. Some of us, especially along the coast, could see some of that sleet. Now, what you may not know is some of the snowfall records. These are one-day snowfall records, according to the National Weather Service. Number one, that happened during the big snow of December of 1989 after Hurricane Hugo. One day we had 6 inches. That was December 23rd of 1989. Now, this is not the storm total. This is what happened on any given day. February 10th of 1973, 5.4 inches. How many people remember January 3rd of 2018? January of 2018, the first pretty much 5, 6, 7 days were so cold, and we had snow 5.3 inches on the 3rd. December 27th of 1980, we had 3.7 inches. And February 12th of 2010, we had 3.3. I remember that well also. Now here is 6 through 10. December 15th, 1943, we had 2.1. 2 inches March 4th of 1969. February 9th of 1973, that was part of a bigger snowstorm, 1.7 inches. February 18th of 1979, 1.6. And December 22nd, 1989, also part of the snow after Hugo, was 1.5. Now, what may happen for us? Maybe we get 2 inches, maybe we get 4 inches, but maybe it doesn't all fall in the same day. So maybe it doesn't get into the top 10. It's a 2-day event as opposed to a 1-day event. So what are the travel impacts that we're expecting? Well, tomorrow morning, I think we're dry. We're okay. By late Tuesday afternoon into the evening, especially the evening, we start to see that snow and sleet begin. Wednesday morning, the snow showers will be lingering probably early in the morning. They should be gone by about sunrise or so. Then, as we mentioned, we're a little bit concerned about some melting and refreezing, what we call black ice, and that could be likely as we get into late Wednesday night and early on Thursday morning. So if you haven't driven in snow, I know a lot of you have moved from other places where snow was just commonplace during the wintertime. I personally used to work in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but that was back in the mid to late 80s. So it's been a while since I've actually driven in snow, post 2018. Avoid travel if possible. That's probably the best tip we can give you. And I think it's great that the kids will be out of school. A lot of businesses have closed and made some arrangements. So a lot of people will not be on the roads. And most of our event is going to happen overnight, tomorrow night, and early on Wednesday. Accelerate and decelerate slowly if you have to be out there. Do not slam on your brakes. Avoid bridges, any hills if possible. We don't have too many hills here, but we certainly have a few. Take it easy and go as slow as possible if you absolutely have to get out. Also, we got to talk about dripping the pipes. We're talking about pipe bursting cold here. Remove the drain and store outdoor hoses. If you can do that, or you can wrap them. I wrapped mine with a couple of towels there around the spigot. Consider insulation materials for exposed pipes. Let the cold water drip from the faucets just a little bit. You got to keep that water moving just to basically have it, at least let it have a harder time freezing. When you see like a little creek or a brook or something like that and you see the water flowing, there might be ice on the sides, but moving water is a lot harder to freeze. Open kitchen and bathroom cabinets, so let some of the warm air from inside your house go under the cabinets where the sink is, and leave the heat no lower than 55. So in a nutshell, here's our forecast overnight: 23 inland, 28 at the beach. We will see increasing clouds. Obviously, it's very cold. our forecast, extended forecast. Looking ahead, this is the inland area weather alert days for Tuesday and Wednesday. You see the highs only in the mid to upper 30s, lows eventually 19 on Thursday morning. If we get there, that would tie the record going back to 1985. And then gradually we're going to start to warm up. So if you can hang on, I can promise you things are going to warm up. Could be 60 by Sunday and in the 60s at times next week. So the pattern for next week is a lot different. Also, the beaches. A lot of times the beach temperatures can be different, as you well know. Also expecting maybe some sleet and snow all the way to the coast. 39 for Tuesday, 37 on Wednesday, and then there's that warm up. So hang on. Still going to be chilly this upcoming weekend, but next week we've got some mid to upper 50s. So don't forget, you can always get the latest information from our weather app. If you don't see us on News 2, Storm Team 2 weather app in the App Store and Google Play. So kind of laid all the cards on the table. Hope we got you informed and a little more at least educated on what we might expect over the next 24 hours or so, and maybe all the way into like Wednesday morning. So again, I'm Storm Team 2 Chief Meteorologist Rob Fowler. Thanks for joining us here on Facebook Live. We're going to see you back here live, News 2 at 10 on the CW, and also News 2 at 11 on Channel 2. So we hope you'll join us then. If you want to comment, if you want to share, please feel free. I'll be looking at this after the taping is done or the live report is done. So once again, stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you back here, News 2 at 10 and also News 2 at 11.